Brace yourself, because the backlash against Caitlin Clark has reached a whole new level. Claims that she is undeserving of everything she's achieved have exploded across the basketball world, pushing criticism into completely uncharted territory. What started as quiet skepticism has now turned into a full-blown storm, with several voices in women's basketball openly downplaying her impact and questioning her rise like never before.
So, Caitlin Clark has gotten some backlash from some parts of the Times article. And whether it be people that wanted to use her to push a narrative clapping back on her, or not even clapping back, just turning on her, or whether it be WNBA owners, in one regard, Renee Montgomery refusing to say anything positive about Caitlin, and then another one basically saying that Caitlin Clark doesn't deserve anything she gets.
But just when it felt like the criticism was spiraling out of control, everything shifted. Out of nowhere, Olympic gold medalist Gabby Thomas and tennis legend Chris Evert stepped into the conversation, and what they said changed the entire tone of the debate.
And we've now got, thankfully, some like big prominent athletes defending her.
If you've been following women's basketball lately, you already know Caitlin Clark has been dominating headlines. But this time, it's not about her deep three-pointers or record-breaking performances. It's about something far more controversial. The real story now is why some of the biggest names in sports are stepping up to defend her, and the reasons behind it might surprise you. What's unfolding isn't just debate, it's chaos rippling through the entire women's sports world.
Caitlin Clark about the comments I made, or the Twitter, or whatever, the tweet, and here's what happened.
Kelly, she was saying that you were apologizing for your white privilege and the fact that you wanted to uplift black female athletes and make sure that they were getting the shine, kind of like your pioneers were getting the shine that they deserved. And I just want to know how you feel or how you respond to some of those criticisms.
I grew up a fan of this league from a very young age. Like, my favorite player was Maya Moore. Like, I know what this league was about. And like I said, like, it's only been around 25 plus years. So I know there's been so many amazing black women that have been in this league, and continuing to uplift them, I think, is very important.
She's doing it again.
That's something I'm very aware of. I said, I feel like one of my best skills is just blocking things out. Like, I don't really, the only opinions I really care about are the people that I love.
That's actually smart, and she shouldn't be listening to her critics, but that's not going to stop those of us who have strong thoughts about her bending the knee from...
It all traces back to that Times article. You know, the one where Clark opened up about her journey and influence on the game. On the surface, it seemed straightforward. But the reaction from certain WNBA voices? Not exactly supportive. Take Renee Montgomery, for example. When asked about Clark's impact, she managed to avoid giving a direct acknowledgement entirely. It was like watching someone try to dodge raindrops in a storm. Nearly impossible, but she tried anyway. And she wasn't alone. Even some WNBA ownership voices entered the conversation, with one going so far as to suggest Clark's success had more to do with race than talent. Let that sink in. This is a player who shattered records, transformed the college game, and brought unprecedented attention to women's basketball, yet somehow that still wasn't enough for some critics.
She's one of the greatest tennis players of all time. She is somebody who has almost been as successful in the sport as Serena Williams. And she's there basically saying Caitlin Clark deserves this award because of her talent and contributions both on and off the...
But just when things felt like they were getting out of hand, support came from places nobody expected. And when I say unexpected, I mean it, because suddenly, voices from entirely different sports stepped in to defend Clark. Leading that charge was Chris Evert, a true icon with 18 Grand Slam titles and year-end championships to her name. When someone like Evert speaks, people listen, and she made sure her stance was heard loud and clear.
And I really like this response from Gabby Thomas, who is, again, she is an athlete who has spent time around Caitlin Clark. And she basically was calling out Riley Gaines. And this is Riley Gaines. No one was asking for Caitlin Clark to position herself as a right-wing hero. All she had to do was remain.
Evert didn't offer a soft, symbolic show of support. She came in strong. She made it clear that Clark's success isn't accidental or handed to her. It's earned through extraordinary talent and impact both on and off the court. This wasn't just another opinion. It was validation from one of the greatest athletes in history. And the support didn't stop there, because Gabby Thomas quickly joined the conversation, adding her own powerful voice to the defense.
And Gabby Thomas said, you don't just have to share your opinion on everything, just sit with them now. I don't really mind. That response is what it is. Caitlin Clark shouldn't need to apologize for being white, which is a comment. And I don't think she necessarily did that, but I can see how it read like that. And I will stand by that. Like, that was the first thing the way I read it initially. And Gabby Thomas says, agreed, nor should she apologize for acknowledging the POC, the people of color that came before her and play a significant role in building the league.
Thomas wasn't interested in playing it safe either. She pushed back directly against the idea, voiced by figures like Riley Gaines, that Clark should stay neutral. Instead, she addressed the heart of the issue with clarity and purpose, focusing on two major points that cut straight to the core of the controversy. First, Thomas made it clear that Caitlin Clark shouldn't have to apologize for being herself. Think about that for a second. We've reached a point where success, combined with identity, is being treated like something that requires justification. Thomas called that out directly. But she didn't stop there. She also defended Clark's right to acknowledge and respect the players of color who helped build the foundation of the sport. And here's the key, those two things can coexist. You can succeed at the highest level while still honoring those who came before you. That's exactly what Clark has done. Now here's something just as telling. Have you noticed the silence from some of Clark's closest allies? Teammates like Lexi Hull and Kate Martin, along with her boyfriend Connor McCaffrey, have stayed quiet. And that silence speaks volumes. It suggests something important. Clark herself likely wants this entire situation to fade away. She's never asked to be the center of a cultural debate. All she's ever wanted is to play basketball at the highest level. And honestly, that might be the strongest statement of all. Then there's the shift in perspective from players like Lexi Brown. She wasn't always a believer in Clark. Far from it. But after facing her twice, everything changed. Watching Clark drain back-to-back 30-foot shots and then dominate again in their second matchup forced a complete reevaluation. Suddenly, it wasn't debate anymore, it was undeniable. Clark is the real deal. What makes Brown's voice even more interesting is her presence in media spaces like Gil's Arena, where she's free to speak openly without the same restrictions active players face, and social media. It's been a battlefield. Every word from Clark's Times interview is being dissected, analyzed, and sometimes twisted to create controversy. But in all that noise, something important is getting lost, the actual impact she's had on the game. Because when you look at the numbers, it's undeniable. Ratings skyrocketed. Arenas sold out. Women's basketball reached new audiences. And here's the irony, the same voices criticizing her now were silent when she was breaking records and dominating headlines. Even platforms like Gil's Arena have become central to this debate. Hosted by Gilbert Arenas, the show has turned into an unexpected hub for raw, honest basketball discussions. And every time voices like Cheryl Swoops appear, the conversation explodes, debates intensify, clips go viral, and fans pick sides. But beneath all the arguments, one thing remains consistent. Respect for Clark's talent isn't really up for debate. What's really being debated isn't her ability, it's everything surrounding it. And that brings us to a deeper issue, activism in sports. Some believe athletes should take a stance on every social issue, but that's not always realistic. That's what Gabby Thomas was pointing out. Athletes should have the freedom to choose what matters to them. Whether it's activism like Natasha Cloud or simply focusing on the game, both paths are valid. And through all of this, Caitlin Clark has handled the situation in her own way, by staying focused. Instead of firing back at critics or engaging in online battles, she's let her performance speak. When she hit those deep shots against Lexi Brown's team, it wasn't just a highlight, it was a statement. No tweets. No speeches. Just pure skill on display. Because when you strip everything else away, you're left with one undeniable truth. Caitlin Clark is incredibly talented. She's pulling up from the logo with confidence most players reserve for free throws. And her influence goes beyond stats. Watch young players today, they're shooting deeper, playing freer, and embracing creativity. That's her impact. And here's where it gets even bigger. She's not just playing the game, she's changing it. Some critics argue her success overshadows past players, but the reality is the opposite. When Clark acknowledges pioneers, it's genuine. She understands she's part of something bigger, a legacy built over decades. Think about the early days of the WNBA. Players grinding without recognition, playing in half-filled arenas, working extra jobs just to get by. Clark's success doesn't erase that, it validates it. It proves the foundation they built was strong enough to support the future. And let's be honest, the timing of this debate isn't random. With Clark entering the WNBA spotlight, controversy was almost inevitable. But her impact isn't temporary, it's long-term. She's proving you can be exceptional without apology, while still respecting the past. The media landscape is shifting too. Voices like Lexi Brown are creating platforms where real conversations can happen. Shows like Gil's Arena prove audiences want honest, uncensored discussions, not filtered narratives. And when legends like Chris Evert and Gabby Thomas step in, it matters. They understand what it means to succeed at the highest level, and to face criticism while doing it. Their support adds depth to a conversation that's far more complex than simple headlines suggest. Because at its core, this isn't just about Caitlin Clark. It's about change, generational change, cultural conversations, and the evolution of women's sports. It's about how talent, opportunity, and timing intersect in ways that spark debate. And through it all, Clark keeps doing what she does best. Playing basketball, inspiring the next generation, and pushing the game forward. Despite the noise, she stays focused. And maybe that's the most impressive part of all, so here's the reality. Whether critics accept it or not, Caitlin Clark's impact is undeniable. And with voices like Chris Evert and Gabby Thomas backing her, it's clear her influence reaches far beyond the court. The game is evolving, the conversation is shifting, and Clark is right at the center of it all. Exactly where she belongs. Now it's your turn. What do you think? Are you standing with Caitlin Clark, or do you think the criticism has a point? Drop your thoughts below and let's keep the conversation going, but keep it respectful, just like Clark would.